a town you never heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
All right, welcome back to Common Folk.
Hi.
Was he a little dirty there?
Always cleaning him
What
up. God, you always got shit all over you.
I just put this shirt on.
Oh my gosh.
He's always dirty.
I took a shower before I came here. I mean, all the things.
Yeah.
Was that for me? Was that for me?
It was, yeah. I don't
Showers
normally.
are quite rare from this man.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, she's not lying. I'll own that.
I mean, he does like one a day, but he's not.
No. I don't do one every other day, probably.
He hates it. I'm like, give me 3 or 4 a day.
I got strict orders to make sure Ozzy takes a shower or something, is what I was told.
Kids have
Gosh,
to.
throw him in
yeah,
the
kids
pool.
have to. Oh, especially teenage kids. Like my son, we had to force him into the shower at 14 years old.
Yes.
Like, son, you need to spend 7 to 10 minutes in there. I don't care if the water runs over. You just got to stay in there.
For sure. There's something about it. He's like, it just wakes me up. I'm like, take one at night, No, wakes me up. I'm like, what?
I've gotten to
At
the
night?
point. I've gotten to the point where I think my body has developed around this, and like,
Oh, God.
I just have
Yes.
like this natural armor that like I don't.
So progressive, so
Yeah.
European of you.
Yeah, I don't get nasty. Like,
But he doesn't actually ever smell of
Well,
BO.
so that's something, right? There's something to be said. It's either the way you eat, which could be right.
Could be, yeah.
And if you don't eat a lot of junk, guess what? Your body doesn't reek, And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of bourbon helps too.
Boom. That's what it
or
is.
Coors Light.
That's what it
Nice
is.
little blend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Coors Light. We got the bourbon in there. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
good
yeah.
splash.
Well, we should probably say who else is
Well,
chatting.
before we kick off, I want to give a quick shout out
Oh.
because this past week, every week we talk about the discount code.
Okay, yeah.
So
we
the
do.
discount code on FarmFocused, FOCUSED.com or StockandRod.com.
Yeah.
The discount code is Common Folk. So it can be one word, it can be 2 words. It works either way. But this past couple of weeks, we've had a number of folks use that discount code. The Watson gloves, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We're buying those.
Okay.
And then just random swag. So thank you for everyone who's using that, supporting the podcast, supporting the website. If you haven't, you've got an opportunity to take 20% off. So go use it. Common Folk at checkout.
Yeah. I mean, we shipped a lot of those gloves this week.
Yeah, it's been great.
That's
One
cool
to
to see.
Australia.
Terrific.
I mean,
What?
hello.
All right.
They want some Watson gloves.
Hey,
That's crazy, man. So if
I
you
love
think about that,
We shout out Australia all the time.
I know we do.
I know.
Australia's like our biggest fan.
and the Watson is a Canadian company, and those gloves are made from white-tailed deer hide,
Yeah.
and they send them to us. We had to get a special like U.S. Fish and Wildlife license to get them.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how, because of what?
Because of the
tags
skin?
or what?
Because
Skins
it's
or-
white. Yeah, it's white-tailed deer coming
Yes.
across the border from Canada.
That's
And
crazy.
Yeah,
And if I was a betting man, I bet those are coming from white-tailed deer farms in the States.
probably.
Oh,
Back
stop.
there.
So it's
I'm
like,
not kidding.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So then they send them to us. We stock them. We stamp them with the Farm Focus logo. We brand them on there. It's a solid product. And then we're shipping them to
yeah.
Australia.
Right. I wonder how
crazy.
long it takes,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Who knows?
I guess they get to
Customs
pick.
can hold it up
They get
too.
to pick their shipping. So
I'll look up the name next episode. We'll give them a shout out.
okay,
But
yeah.
whomever in Australia purchased those gloves, good on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Send
Good
us a
day to
message.
you.
It goes.
Good day.
It's something like Lincoln, Omaha for listenership, and then
Yeah.
Sydney.
Right, yeah.
Sydney, Australia. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're the one that has the analytics and know, but
Whomever is over there, if you could line up a trip for us,
Oh, there we go.
I'm down.
I want to. This is like a destination hunting trip of mine. I want to go to New Zealand, and I know they talk a little different in New Zealand
Yes,
from
they do.
Australia.
The Kiwis. Yes.
Yeah. Those red stags. They're like a blend between elk and
Oh, yeah.
you know it's just phenomenal. Some of the footage you see there, the mountain
Yeah.
area and things like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've been there once in my life.
you have?
Perth, Australia. Not by choice, but I was there.
Oh.
Yeah, my ex-wife and
Okay.
I went there, so we'll talk
so she
about that.
forced your hand. Okay, that's another
Yes,
episode.
I went there happily. Yes, that's a whole extra episode. You got to pay for that one.
Oh,
That's funny. Yeah, man, that'd be fun. But excited to see that. So thank you all. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Who do we got today? Morgan lined this one up.
I did. Golly, you guys, I'm not great at getting guests in here. It's just always the boys getting people and knowing people. But my buddy Jay Miralles, we walked the 50-mile march together. So our listeners that have listened have definitely heard about this. We've talked about it a few times. But he's the main guru, head guy that literally runs everything.
Well,
his heart is huge.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But I stand on the shoulders of many. I mean, yes, we started it a long time ago. But can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you heard about it.
Yeah.
Just off Kim's a whim. We're doing this 50-mile march thing.
Yeah.
Right here in this exact room.
It was right
she
here?
was sitting right where you were, like
Yeah.
almost exactly a year ago.
What was your first... What did you picture first in your mind, and what made you say, I'm doing this?
Honestly, it was like, ooh, a challenge. Let's go.
Right?
I'm in.
Right?
Because I like physical challenges.
Did she even describe it well? Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
But my mind, to be totally frank, didn't go to, ooh, it's for vets and to raise money quite then and there.
okay, good.
But then once I heard about the cause
Yes.
and raising the money and where it was going, I was 100% in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Michael Severe gave a
Oh,
great
true.
breakdown of it
We've
too.
had him on, too.
Yeah, he
And
was
in,
here. Yeah.
and in
You
fact,
know.
I can't remember if it was Kelly or Michael where I heard of it first. It might have been on his.
Kim.
Oh, Kim?
Was it Kim?
No. You said
Sorry.
Kelly. I was just.
Oh yeah, Kim.
correcting
Sorry, Cadillac.
Yes.
But I follow Michael. I'm a sports
Yes.
guy on Twitter, and or X, and
Yes.
he's so good at letting everybody know what he's up to
Yes.
yeah. So he talked about it at length on.
We
his
saw
pod,
him
too.
that day at the
Yeah.
Capitol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk to him and, get to speak with him a little bit at all?
Well, it was very quick. It was just
Yeah.
like a hi, in passing because everyone's
Yes.
getting ready and geared up.
Yeah, and that's
stuff like that.
for me. Like I'll tell you,
'Cause he was there.
I was there, and
I met you for the first time there, maybe in person.
I think it was at the end.
Okay, yeah.
When we met, yeah.
Yes. But it was a blur.
Yeah, right. I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, come on. What do you mean? You were only up for 30 some hours.
At the kickoff at the Capitol, it was just like it was such a, I don't know how to explain the feeling at that place, but it was not a time to get into anything other than here's what we're here to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's what pre-deployment feels like. It feels like
Really?
feels like controlled chaos. It feels like you have people there that love you. And this brings me back. You have people that love you, but you also have the mission pulling at you. You want to be as courteous as you can to the standers-by and all the other people, but you are focused and you are worried and you're anxious and you're planning and all this training that you did is about to pay off, right? That's how it
Yeah.
feels
Oh my
to
gosh.
be. Isn't that
you
crazy?
describing that? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
And for me, it's 100-fold because when you step into formation as the very first time, I want to make sure that every walker has a great experience.
Right.
It's important to me that, when you eat at a restaurant, you have a great experience. I don't care how the food's going to come out because let's be honest, it's pretty average all over, right? But if the service is amazing, you're like, oh my God, I love these fries. It's the same crunch factor as you had at another fast food place, but the service was so great. So
Yes.
we want to serve our people. We want to serve everyone who is involved. And there's a difference between help and serve, and we can get into that later too.
Yeah. So to bring people up to speed, there's going to be folks listening to this who haven't listened to, when we were speaking with Kim.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. What is the 50-mile march?
Exactly, yeah. So just to kind of kick it off, I'm just going to read this real quick, and,
Please.
and Jay, I'll let you elaborate. So the mission, the 50-Mile March Foundation empowers veterans facing mental health challenges and homelessness by fostering a community of hope and relentless support. The vision, it's a community of hope. We can get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about what you guys are going for and what you want to accomplish, but what would you add to that mission?
So the word empowers is in there. Nowhere in there does it say help, does it?
Not at all, yeah.
The word empowers is very powerful because it's easy for me to say, oh, you're broke, here's $10. Oh, you need a place to stay, let me put you in a hotel temporarily. Empowering someone is actually having them earn some of it too. right? It's like, I'm going to meet you where you're at. Oh, you want to bench 250, you're at 225 now. Here's where you're going to have to come meet my instruction. Here's where my instruction is going to come meet you. And it's going to come with experience. It's going to come with a true servant heart. But I can't want it more than you want it. You've got to want it too. Yeah. So there's a vetting process when you empower someone, just like you. You didn't just jump into line and say, oh, here I am. We had you go through a whole rigmarole of tryouts and meetings and endless text messages. And oh my gosh, is this another Zoom meeting? Like, what is going on? It's because we want to get the separation between interested and committed. Yes. Everyone's interested, right? Like, oh, that sounds cool.
Well, that's fun.
Fun. Oh my God. Tell me the 49th mile was fun.
Oh, no, it was not.
So back to the mission statement. I want you to know, Ben, full disclosure, there was no mission when we first started. Like, can I take you back to the beginning? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Please. Let's go.
In 2020, well, let me go back. So when I got out of the service in 1998, I was married to my ex, and times are hard. We went through a hard divorce, and we were married for a year. I was 26 years old, no direction, no nothing. I was functioning though. I was working, I was working at a job and doing what I could do, and I found myself without a home. She I don't want to say kicked me out, but I didn't want to live there anymore. Mm-hmm. So I relied on friends. And, when you rely on friends, their spouses are like, hey, how long is he going to be here?
Yeah.
You hear that all the way downstairs, right? Like you're all the way downstairs and you're like, did I just hear them? When is Jay leaving? And my friends were like, Jay, you're a little disheveled, bro. Like, is everything okay? I'm like, what's wrong with you, Morgan? There's nothing wrong with me. What are you talking about? We think you need help, Jay. I'm like, I don't need help. I got a job, got a car. I slept in my, it was a Ford Probe at the time, oxidized red, right? Boy. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Slept in there, slept in churches, slept in parking lots, slept on friends' couches, and life got really bad. So, like when you feel like a burden on someone, has anyone, oh, I don't want to ask them the question because they might think I'm asking, or, oh, I don't want to bring this up because I don't want to ruin the relationship. You know what it's like when your value, and I'm not saying you don't, but when you get to the point that your heart says, you know what, you'd be better off not here. And I know what the taste of gun oil tastes like. The only reason I probably didn't go through with it was because the first time I had my daughter was born. She's now 26, and I felt obligated. The second time I was, just really in that bad place where we had fallen apart, and I started really having to lie about my status. Like, I'm tired of lying. I'd be better off just. So I was homeless and I wanted to take my life, right? I think people thought of that normally anyway. You know what I mean? I thought that was a normal thing. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think I needed help. I was not like, oh my gosh, is there a crisis hotline I can call? I didn't think of any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm high functioning. I got a job. I just want to be done with it. And my buddy John pulled me by the collar and said, hey, you shut your mouth. You're going to stay here. You're going to sleep in my basement with my dogs. You're going to bring my kids to school. You're going to mow the lawn. You're going to clean my car. I'm like, what? I'm going to be your houseboy? He goes, no, I'm going to give you a routine, something you don't have right now. He saved my life. Then I found my wife, my wife now, and rest is history. But I lied about a lot of things that I had or didn't have. I lied about how well I was. I lied about everything just to survive. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it was service related or what, but I remember in the service, everything was, hey, Jay, shut your mouth. Don't be telling anybody you feel that way, okay? Because if you do, you'll lose your security clearance. Oh, hey, you're going to lose your job. So I want people to know the reason I started this is I made a promise to God, and I said, God, if you ever get me out of this, I promise you, I will do something for the good of mankind. I didn't even say veterans, right? Because it wasn't about veterans, and it was just about me. For years and years and years and years, I told everybody, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. Till one day my buddy said, you know what, Jay, you talk a lot of crap. You just run your mouth, and you never going to follow through on this. And in 2020, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. That was a whole lot of years later, right? I told my wife, babe, I'm going to walk for my 50th birthday from Lincoln to Omaha, and I'm going to raise $2,500. She goes, you know, if you don't raise $2,500, like, you're going to write the check, right? Right? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I can do it. You know, I didn't even think about that. 30 people said they'd come in March. Get
30?
Yeah, 30 people said, oh, yeah, Jay, we're going to be there. Then I canceled it because what happened in March of 2020? COVID.
Yeah.
And my buddy goes, there you go again, man. You're just BSing the world. You're BSing yourself. I said, well, I don't want to infect anybody. He goes, who are you going to infect? I said, all the people I'm walking with. He goes, if you do it yourself and you don't raise the money, write the check and just shut your mouth, right? That's one of my favorite sayings is shut your mouth now. And we did. 6 of us took off from the Capitol in 2020, and we walked. We didn't have a plan. We raised $25,000, like in 48 hours.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That was
And now-
2020.
And these were your
2020.
friends, or how did you find
6 of
the
my
sit?
friends.
They
6.
just-
So
okay.
Dr. Fit and Fabulous,
Yeah.
Jamie Seaman, John Bodie, who's got the longest freaking legs in the world. Like this guy's 1 step is my 7 steps. You had Aaron Ashley, or Ashley Aaron, who walked with us. You had Timothy Sons, who's a pastor, and you had Ben Seaman, and then you'd had a couple people just join us in and out. So one of my buddies showed up, and they're like, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm here. I'm ready." I'm like, "Okay, where's your gear?" He's like, "What time are we going to be home?" I said, "Bro, it's going to take us like a day to do this." You mean I'm not going to be home by 6 o'clock?
Oh my gosh, that's such a guy
He goes, I
answer.
can't go. He goes, I can't go then. He's like, later, guys. No plan, no route, no training, no nothing. Just a little bit of training, but that was it. That was supposed to be it. Here's Guitars for Vets, got 50%. Moving Veterans Forward, got 50%. We let go all the money, right? Just there it is. That was it. Then some idiot was like, hey, man, you guys going to do that thing again? I'm like, what thing?
Because you probably posted about it?
Yeah, we posted it
Okay.
after, and it was like 2 months after. Like, are we going to do this again next year? You guys going to do this? I'm like, I don't know. Are we doing this? Jamie's like, let's go for it. So Jamie Seaman, Matt Bills, and myself are the co-founders. And there's a whole lot of people that you can call co-founders, but those are people that helped us start the story, the first steps.
I've got a couple questions
Yes,
based
please, man.
on what you said there. So
Thank you.
one of the things that you mentioned was your buddy, and I sorry, I can't remember his name, but the guy that gave you a little bit of tough love.
John.
John.
I won't say his last name, though. John.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think the difference between, when you're going through something like that you were going through, and somebody coming and giving you that tough love?
Yeah.
Like, get up, quit
Yeah.
freaking talking about it, dude.
Yes.
As opposed to that, emotional, like, oh, you're going to be okay. I'm here for you. Like, let me give you this, let me give you that. You touched on it in the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
are you going to give somebody something, or are you going to teach them to do something?
Exactly.
It's like the old saying about give a man a fish or teach a man to fish, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that all resonates at all. We continue to hear the same things all the time. We all know this.
Through different messages.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what you think about that in terms of, because we all know somebody. We've all been involved with somebody. When do you get to that point when you give that tough love, and what does that impact have from the standpoint of someone who's been on the other side of that?
When you really love someone and you don't care what their political affiliation is and how much money they make, and you just tell them because you love them, right? I don't give tough love to everybody. It's not my job.
Yeah.
Right? And I can't pour into everybody. Yes, I love to motivational speak. I love to, coach people, but I get paid to do that. But if I'm giving you tough love, Ben, it's because I care for you. I want you to get better. And I see so much more in you than you see yourself, and it's that excitement, but I'm not going to give it to you. You got to meet me halfway. And this 50-mile march is so symbolic of tough love. It's like can we say bad words here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We can do hard shit. We can do hard things. The people who don't, we shy away from a little bit of work. We shy away a little bit from overtime. We shy a little bit from crawling under a car to change the oil plug. Like, I'm not immune to hard work. I'm not handy, but I'm not immune to hard work. And tough love, if this world, oh my God, don't get me started on the whole political correctness thing, people's feelings. I don't give a shit about your feelings. I really don't. Like, Ben, if we're friends, Andy, if we're friends, Morgan, if we're friends, we're friends.
Yeah.
I don't want to tiptoe around you. I don't want to be embarrassed to tell you my political party, although that's not who I am. It's how I join into life. If you ask me, I'll tell you, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Because if I'm authentic around you and you like me, it's going to last a whole long time. You know what I mean?
How many times have we said this on the podcast? Just like be around your friends and be honest and have good conversations about real stuff.
Have the courage to have the conversation.
Yes.
Just have the courage to, and also be willing to listen.
Yes.
Don't be locked and loaded, ready to give your response as soon as the other person shuts up. Right.
It's true.
I want to. There's a dichotomy to what you're saying there, because, and I want to get your thoughts on it, because of course there's a lot of truth, and you're only going to listen to people with that tough love approach, right? If they are invested in you, trust them, and you love them, and you know them for a long time, they've paid their dues, right, with you emotionally. But I only got like 3 people like that in my life.
Yeah.
And they're probably, I'd have to really go down a path to actually get that tough love.
Yeah.
There's also this other friend, or I wouldn't even call it a friend, but an acquaintance in your life where they don't know you and they don't give a shit about you. So they're just going to tell you straight up, that's stupid. And I can tell you that that's stupid because I don't care.
Yes.
So like, I think, you know what I mean? It doesn't just have to come from someone that you love and trust. In fact, it might mean more to you if it's from someone that shouldn't even care at all, or has no incentive to see you better off. So I don't know. I think there's like I said, there's a dichotomy there. And, but that goes back to what you're saying, Morgan. Have the courage to have the conversation. Put yourself out there and get ready for that feedback.
I completely agree with what you're saying. And I've seen it time and time again in life, with folks. The people who are closest to you, you almost question them more than you question the people who aren't.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean?
mean?
Honey, do I look fat? Oh, Jesus.
I think outside of that question, can I add to what you said?
Yeah, please.
Why would you take advice from anyone who you wouldn't take their constructive criticism from? Like, there are people that, if you're significant enough, are going to hate what you're doing.
No matter what.
No matter what. But, there's people who don't do much of anything and nobody bothers them, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not downing that lifestyle. I'm saying if you're going to stand for something, people are going to give you their opinion. Or those idea givers. I'm an idea giver when I'm excited. Like when I saw your guys' place here, I was like, God, this is amazing. I geeked out, right? I mean, I'm not going to give my energy to that if you guys are coin collectors. Sorry. If you're a coin collector, I'm just like, cool, when can we start the podcast?
Yeah, next.
But it takes a genuine interest. And, Morgan, how many minutes did it take for me to reply to you when you asked me?
Super quick.
So,
I mean, like 30 seconds.
I have selective response, and I'm not going to lie. I want everyone to know about this. If you text me and I don't respond to you, it's because I'm choosing not to at the time. If it's important enough to me, I will respond right away. If you have to guess your response time in our friendship and gauge it by that, we're probably not friends or a business deal or something. But I want you to know that I'm here. One is because our connection at the 50 Mile March. 2 is because I believe in what you do. And I don't even know everything that you do. I just know the people you surround yourself with. I've heard Kim talk about you. I've heard many people talk about you, even mistakenly talk about you. But obviously, you've made an impression, and you can't fake who you are. I go by energy too. You know what I mean? Some 100%. People are guarded right away. You can feel that. Some people are like, who is this guy, Jay? I'm not for everybody. And that's cool, right? Like, I like who I like, and I spend my time there. But when I pour into people, I'll pour into if you're asking me for advice or help. But man, if it's somebody I love, there's only a few people in life that I talk to like I talk to my kids. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's not that they're making mistakes. There's people that love to correct you, right, Andy? They're like, oh, Andy, gosh, this equipment, the SM58, it's not as superior to the... Who cares? Those are people aren't even podcasting, right? These are SM58s, by the way, are they? Sure, SM58s. Anyway.
It says it.
Yeah.
I think so.
They're Sures, yes.
Yeah, they're Sures.
I don't know.
They sound good. But anyway, my point is, don't take advice, from people that you...
48. Yeah. 48, by the way.
Oh, 48. Oh, dang.
Okay, so is that leveled down or leveled up?
It sounds amazing. But I'll say this, though, is I can't tell everybody what I think because I don't have the time, nor are they engaged enough to listen with me. So that's where I draw the line where, is this person invested in me? Do I really care? Because there's some people that love to correct everything about everybody. If it doesn't affect me and I'm not hurting you, I'm probably not going to say anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I love that comparison with, if I'm going to say it to my kids or I'm going to say it to you or how that works, because we run into that in our own family with our kids. I get accused sometimes of being too harsh or not emotional enough or whatever the case may be. But what it really comes down to is that it's the max of emotion. It's the max of care.
Yeah.
It's having that conversation because I care so much. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. Yeah. I'm not going to beat around the bush.
No.
Yeah. And that's the same conversation that I would have with, my favorite people, like you're talking about.
Absolutely. Think about your kids, right? I don't tell my kids, you need to work hard, you need to be better than that. I just want to show them. And me and my son, he's 15 years old now. We shared a moment, and my kid doesn't talk a lot. He's just a person of action, and I should say he's very talkative when it comes to engaging with people. But it's not like, hey, son, how was your day? Good afternoon, father. My day was, it's not like that, right? I'm just honest. But at the end of the march, I let everybody in, and I was the last one. And here comes this 5'10" kid, and he gives me a hug. And I'm like, all right, man. He goes, Dad, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. He goes, you're my hero.
Oh.
Golly. I just probably yelled at that kid 2 days before, right? Just tough love. But he knows, even when I am firm with them, I want to stay consistent, just like I tell people, and that's what I want to build this tribe of people about. People are always asking, oh, Jay, we're going to join you. We don't need any more gunnas. Yeah. Stop saying gunna. Shut your mouth and let's go. Right? That's it. Shut your mouth. That's one of our patches. It's the Shut Your Mouth 5 a.m. patch. So we have a patch. You have to earn it. And, again, it's just a patch you can earn, but it's called the Shut Your Mouth patch. So
makes sense. So the last few minutes we've talked a lot about kind of what your, stance is on things and how you feel and what you think. And what I wanted to dig into a little bit was how you came up and what made you who you are today. We talked about how this thing started and what gave you the motivation to start that and that little glimpse of your life. But I'd like to know, and I think it's important for the audience to know how all that came about.
Yeah.
So let's start early on.
Yeah, I love it.
Where did you grow up? How did
San
that look for you?
San Francisco. So truth be told, as you guys are talking about whitetail and and hunting, I'm just shaking my head. I married into a hunting family and a farming family.
Okay.
So I was christened that way, blessed that way, but I was a city slicker when I grew up, right? I didn't. So back to California. I grew up in San Francisco, first generation here. My parents are Spanish and Filipino. We grew up in the avenues, dirt poor. We grew up in a basement. Charlie was our landlord. I remember that still. Dad probably had 3 jobs. He was a merchant marine as well, so we never saw him for but probably 3 months out of the year. And my mom worked many jobs, right? Worked in insurance finally. So we got to middle class. It was pretty cool before I left. And it was a whole lot of hard. I want people to know who I am. Here's who I am. Imagine 8 to 9 people at a dinner table and your father. Spam is what we had, right? And we had a lot of rice. My father would be standing in the corner, making sure everyone is fed, right? I mean, they'd pile whatever they could pile on the plate, primarily rice. You get a few bites of Spam just for the flavor. And my dad would clean up all the plates after. He'd scrape all the plates, and you'd think, he's going to throw it away. That's what the old man ate.
It's his meal.
Mm-hmm. That's where I came from. So everybody eats before I do in my house. Everybody eats before me in line. Everybody enters the building before I enter. That's what my old man taught me.
And you said he was in the military?
So it's Merchant Marines. It's not. It's a civilian portion of. So he refueled ships is what they did.
Yep.
And he told me, he said, son, this country's been good to us. I was like, yeah, it's been good to us, Dad. Dumb Jay, maybe 12 years old, 13. Mm-hmm. You should do like some of those guys on TV, like some of those military men. It's like, yeah, Dad, I should, but it was just talk. Then one day his buddy, Air Force recruiter, who was a gambler too, showed up at our house. And he's like, you're joining the Air Force. I'm like, okay.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so my dad was a gambleaholic, but he had a lot of friends. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of people that respected him, I think, Yeah. A lot of people came by our house too. Like, we were not allowed in the living room on Super Bowl or on Sundays or Mondays. It was his time to just decompress. And so we grew up. My parents hustled. My mom hustled. I mean, they wasted $3,000 a year on us in private school. For all boys school and high school. I know they wasted it because I had D- average. Joined the Air Force from there because I wanted to escape too. I wanted to show people that I could leave and have my own things and leave. I don't know what I want. I was like, I'm going to buy my own car.
Hey, goals.
Yeah.
Goals.
Literally, Honda Civic is all I wanted, right? It's all I wanted. And I joined the military. I did my job. I did it well. I volunteered for everything I can volunteer for. But I had this chip on my shoulder, the entire time that I was better than everybody. I promise you. You can probably feel a little bit of that now, but I wanted to outdo who I was yesterday because I was so embarrassed of who I was. Not of my parents' upbringing, but I was like, Dad, can we have the Converse and not the kids? Hey, can we have the Levi's and not the just all this stuff. Yeah. Because in California, it's all about comparison. When everyone got the Michael Jordans or the Adidas, I was like, oh man, how can I do that? So I hustled young. I sold fireworks, so I would go down to Chinatown, steal $10 out of the old man's wallet, buy a brick of firecrackers, come back, sell them pack by pack, probably make $20,
double it,
put the $10 back in his wallet, right? Like, it was just, all my life, I knew how to leverage relationships for things I didn't have and be creative and just work with what you got, but I was always grateful.
Were your parents immigrants?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was first generation here. So, I mean, my parents were salt of the earth people that, my mom is Filipino and my dad is Filipino and Spanish, but we're good hosts. Mm-hmm. When people come to our house, man, like, you got to eat, right? And I'm a cook because of my parents, but they worked tirelessly, man. And it was so cool because I'm able to do things for, my parents now that you can only dream of. And I have no education, my friends. I don't have any college. I mean, I went to Bellevue University for some Microsoft classes, but everything I learned was self-taught, learned from experiences. I learned from a lot of failures, and you just can't beat me. Let's just say that. You just won't beat me. I mean, my wife has had breast cancer, you know what I mean? 5 cancer 5 other times. We're the kind of couple you're just not going to beat. And that's, if it's pompous and arrogant, whatever, you know what I mean? But there's other stuff. There's other shit to worry about, you know?
Sure.
No, it's confidence.
Yeah. It's being rock bottom and knowing, like, maybe the confidence says I'm confident enough that I'm not going there, but I get scared too, Morgan. I do. I get scared like the bottom's going to fall out someday. You know what I mean? Like, I get scared that the 50-mile march won't continue. You know, I mean, not that it's not going to continue, but it's so precious and to me, and it's such my identity. All the things in my life have led me to this point, but I've had odd jobs. I worked at Sweet 98 as a radio DJ, all that stuff.
I remember Sweet 98.
Jay Towers. Jay Towers was my radio name.
I think I remember that name, actually.
Like 13 years I was there. Yeah.
That was you?
When my hair was black, yes.
I'm totally going to look you up.
Oh, my God.
I totally listened to you.
Oh, my God.
What time frame was that, Ben?
So I worked on the weekends part-time, and then I started working Booty Call at 8 o'clock at night. So Booty Call was the mix show. Yeah, that was it was called Booty Call. It was the mix show. And then, I was DJing all of the concerts and all that stuff. So I met all the stars, right? Had my armor on Christina Aguilera. Britney Spears's security guard was like, don't you put your hand on her, in sync. Gosh, who else?
Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
All the bands, right? And some cool ones too. Matchbox 20. Like, it was just so good.
So that's like
so good.
98 through 2005.
You got it.
Boom.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I probably, So I started around 96. The very first song I played was by Gwen Stefani. And it was
Bananas?
No. It was even earlier than that.
Holla
It
back.
was-
Holla back.
No, it was
Oh.
a slow song. It was a slow song. It was
Don't Speak.
Don't Speak. Thank you. That was the very first song. I still have the air check from it. It was terrible. Like, I stepped all over the song.
Did you?
Yes. Oh my God. That's another great story too. So how about this? All right. I was DJing in a nightclub. The producer's like, you got a great voice. I'm like, thank you so much. We want you to run Casey Kasem. I'm like, what? Casey Kasem? Oh yeah. So guess what? I put on a suit. 2 Saturdays later, Sundays, I'm in the studio with my suit on, and he's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, I'm here for Casey Kasem. Does he come from the airport? Like, does he come?
Yeah.
He's like, bro, it's Syndicate. I'm like, what's Syndicate? He said, he's not here. It's a CD. I'm like, what? I was so gullible. I know there's my level of education.
That's how
for
you learn, man. That's how you learn.
I'm like, I was so disappointed. I thought I was going to meet Casey Kasem.
You could have played out. No, I just want to look good for today's show.
God, it was terrible. It was terrible.
So you talked about your parents a little bit, but, and I'm sure it's part of it, but what do you think in your upbringing gave you that grit and that confidence? And I think it's even more than that. It's just knowing no matter what it takes, I'm going to make this work.
Yes.
Whatever it is that I'm focused on. What do you think ingrained that in you? What taught you that?
I had a lot of good role models. Like, I was raised also by my grandparents. When in our culture, you're raised by uncles and grandmothers, and because your parents work a lot, and you stay at your Uncle Rading's place or your aunt, Stephanie's place, whatever, or your Lola or your grandpa, whatever. And they all have like values, right? They're all honor, your promises, honor your word. They were super Catholic too, which I'm not Catholic now, but boy, I tell you what, like, if Jesus was around, he probably lived in our house. I'm pretty sure. But it was almost to a guilt, Ben. It was, they were kind of, bless you.
Excuse me.
They were guilting me at first, but as soon as I figured out that when I do something that someone tells me to do, the reward is there. It may not be monetary or anything like that. So I got addicted to that attention early on. I got bored really easily in school, so I would make up, homework lessons and all that. I probably never turned in an assignment ever in my life. I mean, you're saying, come on, Jay. No, I would either just minimally do what I could. I wrote a paper on the Roman Empire, right? And we talked about the Colosseum, and I wrote a whole book report, but really I stole it off Cliff Notes. But I got to visit Rome 7 years ago. And I'll never forget, I learned more there walking in the lion's cage than I ever have. So the experiences in my life tie back to my education. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what they were telling me in school. So that's kind of a gift. Mm-hmm. But where does the grit come from? I'm afraid, Ben. There it is. There's your real answer. oh, Jay, you're so motivated. Yeah, I'm motivated by fear also. You know what I mean? I'm motivated by achievement, about helping others, letting Andy win, but I'm afraid of going back to the basement in the avenues and just not having the choice. You know what I mean? That's what I'm afraid of, is not having the choice. I'm afraid of not sharing the abundance. If I can't be of value to people, I really probably don't want to be around them. So some people are like, oh, you know, for me, it's doing the right thing. It's not always doing the right thing. It is doing the right thing, but for the reasons, it's miscellaneous, but I'm afraid.
That's a great answer. Not something that you normally hear, like you said. You always hear the roses and the flowers and all the things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, I have a 10-point system for today.
I don't want to do that yet. And what it makes me think is being afraid and almost like always running away from something.
Yes.
So what in your life and what experiences do you have then that bring you peace? Because that would be where you're not running from anything anymore when you experience that peace and you feel that peace.
Yeah.
So where do you achieve that in your life?
You know, I'll give you a few concrete examples. Time is everything to me. And when I can say no, you know what I mean, to people because I truly mean no, that's empowering, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things I'll accommodate. Like I was like, hey, let's do Wednesday. Here's my window of time, right? But if I didn't want to do this, I'd be like, you know, Morgan, I'm in Kearney bound today, baby. You know what I mean? Like, not to lie, but I could have gone to Kearney. What makes me feel my peace is this. It's a burden sometimes. On my phone, it's riddled with text like, hey, man, if it weren't for this, I don't think I'd be around. I want to show you something, but I know you won't be able to see it here. But I want your reaction because this is real stuff. So while I'm telling you the story, I'm paraphrasing, and please don't repeat the name. This is extremely important to me because people are people are real people, and what brings me peace is when someone says, Jay, I helped you, or you helped me, and here's a picture here. I'll paraphrase, but see this right here? You know what that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, somebody standing on top of one of those bins right there, right? And he said, doesn't matter who this is. This individual said, this is where I was going to end it. Like, this is where I was going to end it to make it look like an accident.
My gosh.
And I couldn't be any closer with this individual today, right? Like, I've got people, so I mean, whatever, you're not going to guess who it is. But my point is that brings me peace because he is here. Because some dummy wanted to walk from Lincoln to Omaha, right? Like, he's here because people think this 50-mile march is cool. He's here because he wants to hang around a bunch of veterans. He's here because he has something to look forward to. He has something to volunteer for. He is salt of the earth person. I'm like, hey, man, we need you here. Not just another day, but for the rest of your goddamn life.
Yeah.
You know? That is what brings me peace. And when someone writes you a letter of, hey, you know, we'll do that. Whatever you need, we'll make that donation. Or, hey, you know, my wife and I talked about your wife, and we're going to do the listing appointment with your wife, or we're going to list, like, little tiny wins like that bring me joy because I'm real about it. Listen, if you don't want it, you don't want it. But if you want it, grab on with both hands because I'm going to grab on with both hands. It's not money, Ben. It's time. It's someone going, hey, they see my shirt, right? I'm at Hy-Vee. They're like, oh, hi, they're us 50-mile march. I'm like, yeah, 50-mile march. And, oh, my cousin's sister, she did that. I'm like, oh, yeah, tell me about it. The flex is not having to say, you know, I'm the co-founder, right? I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
I just want to hear them, and that brings me peace. I just didn't think about that till you said about that, Ben. But to hear their story light up, and oh my gosh, this is what it's done. And my husband's so much better. My wife is so much better. Our marriage is so much better. It's because they found a tribe. My tribe brings me peace. The 5 a.m. walks in the morning bring me peace. I don't know. That's
great, man.
It is. But I find peace especially after I do hard shit. Like when I challenge myself. And when someone tells me, you ain't. I'm like, hide and watch me, fool. Hide and watch me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what fills me up.
It's good to have trolls every once in a while. Give you that little motivation, right?
Yes.
Now I'm kind of connecting some dots here, and something that, I'm deep into this broadcasting, podcasting, this whole media world, right?
Yes.
And there's a big push right now in the video podcasting world, and it falls along the lines of what you're saying. Just shut up and do it.
Yeah.
And what a lot of them that I'm seeing, because the algorithm knows me better than I know me,
yeah.
They're like, oh, you're 40 years old now? Here you go. And it feeds me all this 40-year-old content.
Yes.
And it's saying if you're 40 or older, just start and offer what you learned. Like you don't need a niche. You'll figure that out.
Yes.
And I think that puts you in a position with the 50-mile march. You've been through that shit.
Yeah.
You can offer solace, guidance that I can't. I haven't been there. I haven't, had the episode or however you want to phrase that.
Yeah.
And so you're able to do something for veterans, for people in general, that a lot of folks can't do. They can't even touch it. Like I wouldn't even be comfortable thinking I could, so I think that's one of the dots I was connecting there. And then another one, you showed the picture there, the bins and stuff. Where that guy sent you that picture and the message, you gave him, I want to call it a purpose, and that's kind of what your buddy gave you a long time ago. And he said, "You're gonna stay here. You're gonna feed my dogs. You're gonna wash my car."
Yes.
He called it a routine.
Right.
But it was a kind of a starting point of you building towards something more. And Stephen Hawking,
absolutely.
the robot guy, right? One of his keys to happiness.
You're going to hell, bro.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andy. I'm kidding.
I've already punched that ticket like that. So.
Sorry.
But one of his keys to everyday happiness, or observation he had on just happy people in general, was that they worked. They had a daily job. They had, he called it, purpose.
Yes.
And I think when you lose that, when you fall into this depression or whatever you want to call it, where you can't get off the couch, you're sad and there's nothing to work for. You don't feel good. You can't feel that natural, like what you're saying. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I feel good.
Yes.
And I know it's good. I know it's good for people. I know it's good for the world that I'm doing this.
Yes.
And it's not, I guess it's selfish, but
it's not.
I
Andy.
don't know how to describe it really.
Yeah, I can hear you. So when you say, if you want something done, ask the busy people. I take it you're a busy person, right? You just like to stay in motion. We're all busy people. I can feel it, right? But there's a rhythmic reason for this. So some people love to be intense, right? So they're like, I'm going to the gym for 3 hours on Monday. Like, okay. I would rather have you frequently go to the gym versus intensely go to the gym. So in your life, you podcast, you probably do something else. You do, your merchandise, you're all this, and you connect. You're not an 8 to 5er. We're not 8 to 5ers here. So what happens is with the rhythmic, it gives us enough peaks and valleys to stay in motion. But here's what happens in normal people's lives. They wake up, they struggle, they peak at work, and then they give leftover to whatever they have with their family. Now tell me, when you and I start and stop projects and interact with people and get the next appointment, and this is up to us, or else there's no income.
Right. Yeah.
I would rather deal with these people.
It gives you a
than
high.
This person.
Like
a
lot more dopamine.
Jolt.
A lot more
Every
dopamine
hit right there. Dopamine.
It also gives you equally the number of lows as well.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
If not as many. It's true though.
I'm glad we talked about the highs first, but I didn't think about the lows.
It does. But the purpose. Guess what? My vision, our vision of creating this community of hope. you're just not going to stop me. And you believe in it now. You never heard of it before, right? You don't even know what the architectural drawings are going to look like, right? You just believe that someone else believes that we're going to do it. That's our purpose. Did you sign up for next year already?
Yeah, the day after.
That's so crazy. See, like I ask people, well, Morgan, why the heck would you do that? Like,
I know, he was like, "Do you love pain?"
Yeah, it's crazy. So why? Can I ask Morgan? Is that okay?
Absolutely,
Why?
please.
I mean, everyone does it for a different reason. There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer. But I'm just curious. Why would somebody who heard of it the year before attend the celebration, get into the system? It wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Mm-mm.
The day after, you're why?
I just always keep going back to the same answer. I just keep thinking 22 hours of pain.
Yeah.
That's nothing compared to what all these people do overseas do for us. And the struggles that people come home with. Like, I can't withstand 22 hours. You know, when people are like, "Oh, just push 5 more minutes." Just, okay, so have small goals. Like, you can do anything.
Yes.
22 hours is not even a full day.
Right.
Like, get your shit together.
Yes.
Get your feet walking and
Yes,
go.
that's
like
true.
it's very minuscule in like a grand scheme of life.
Yeah.
It's just nothing. So that's what let's go.
I appreciate that
Yeah.
because everyone does it for a different reason, you guys, and it's like, I don't know. I just feel that there's a purpose for everyone. For some people, it's, one guy, Kaz, who had a ripped aorta 4 years ago, should have died. You have Tamsin, who had a stroke a few years back. They told her, hey, it's going to be a long recovery. She walked. I mean, you got an 8-year-old girl, a 75-year-old man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your excuse? This is so symbolic in life. Like, I wish I would have started the 50-mile march when I was 24. Like, no. Now's
come
the
on.
time.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Your time is now, right? And it's not everyone has to do it, but the people who do it with us form a community, forms bonds. It forges people. I mean, okay, when you go to the gym, you're not trying to talk to Andy and like, Andy, yeah, your bench press is really good. But when we're walking and we're training with people and we're 2:00 in the morning, the worst of us comes out.
Yeah.
And if I like the worst of you, guess what? Probably going to like the best of you too. Mm-hmm.
And that's something that a lot of civilians like
yes.
us
Yeah.
don't get very many opportunities to experience.
I'm glad you said that. But I want you to know when people say, oh, I didn't serve, I don't care. You did serve in your own way. We needed people to run the country. We needed someone to keep the lights on to come back home to. But you're right. We welcome that. We say, Ben, check this out, man. Like, oh, we're going to have some rucking events coming up where we're going to do people carries, where we're going to carry people, your teammate, on your back.
Oh, yes,
like a
we
fireman's
talked about
carry.
this.
Yes.
I cannot wait.
It's going to be so good. And it's just going to be shorter distances, but camaraderie is everything. And just because you didn't wear the uniform like I didn't doesn't mean you can't make an impact. And Andy, you were saying earlier, hey, I wouldn't know the first thing. You do. You're a decent human being. Talk to me, bro. Talk to me. Take an interest in someone, not for who they are, what they have, not for what they have, but for who they are. You can save a life too. Everyone is hurting. I mean, everyone is having a bad day. Oh, are you okay? That's not the question to ask. Right? Here's what I do. Tell me something good. And when they're like, I don't really have anything good to say, that's when you get into but if you say, tell me something good, they're like, oh my God, my son's birthday was today and we did this. Like, okay, they're good. And the other part is, don't be afraid to bother your friends. Oh, I don't know if Norma's feeling okay. I don't want to bother her because if I do, maybe she'll be mad at me for asking about her mental health. Let's piss Norma off. I'd rather her be pissed and alive one more day than go, how many times have you, I was just going to call her. I was going to reach out to her. Stop was gonna-ing and just
do it.
reach out.
Yeah.
Norma, tell me something good. Oh, Jay, it's been really hard. I've been at home for 4 weeks. Like, listen. You don't have to solve, Norma, I'm here for you. Keep going. That's the worst thing we do. We want to solve it like Andy.
Right.
Guys are solvers.
God, not me. No. I ain't solved shit today. Trust me, my wife will tell you that.
But I feel like it's in you. Like you You just kind of want to, or
we want to
fixers.
fix it.
Yeah, that's what I
Exactly.
mean. Fixers.
And put a
We
pin in
don't
it.
want to fix it. We don't want you to suffer, Morgan. So here's a little bit of counseling here. I'm just telling you, when you say something, we do want to make it better. Not for us, but for you. And we think because we're, let's just put a piece of tape there and that'll be good. Like, that's how we think, right? Unfortunately, that's as deep as it gets. We don't go, Morgan, so let me in a little bit more. Tell me what you're feeling. That's not us
I
most of the
know.
time, right?
Oh, Lord, do I know. And I'm like, can sometimes you just say what I want to hear? And he's like, you want me to lie?
Or I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you
I
don't.
know.
Sometimes, like,
Yeah.
if you just stand there and you just, and then my
Smile.
wife goes, Art, did you hear anything I said?
Oh boy.
Right? But if I say, you know what, we should XYZ plus 4, that's too much. I wasn't looking for all that.
Yes.
Right.
I get it. We do. I will admit that for sure. Andy, you,
It's universal.
no, that doesn't happen at your house.
Reminds me of
Ashley's not like that.
Reminds me of where this conversation's going. Reminds me of the greatest quote ever from Red in that '70s show.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Tell
The
me.
father figure is
Yeah,
always
yeah.
really strict. And anyway, Kitty, his wife, one day, she's standing in the kitchen beside herself, and he walks in. She goes, Red, do you think I'm pretty?
Oh.
And he looks at her and goes, is that what we're going to do today, Kitty? We're going to fight?
Oh,
Just cut right to the chase.
I'm gonna do a coaching class on how to answer that question. Seriously,
That's a
like,
good idea.
You know, I mean, it's so classic. Like, we're done, we're already ready, and it's like the house is probably 2 degrees more than it needs to be, and then you get the question from the distance, hey, I just need your opinion on something. Is this okay? Right? That's the first indication of get up out of your chair and walk to them, because if they gotta walk to you, it's
Yeah.
done. So if we walk to you and said, okay, let me see your shoes, step back. Okay, I do like those shoes with that outfit. That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
You don't have to say it looks good or looks bad. You step back and, okay, I like the shoes with that outfit. Let's go.
Are you sure? Because I feel like you're not being honest about that.
Dude,
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because
Yes. Yes.
Then I get the eye roll. You don't know what you're talking about anyway.
oh my gosh.
No, I don't. I'm just saying.
But you know, Amazon has that thing now where you can just take a picture of yourself in the Amazon style, and it
No.
will show, and people give real feedback on what you're wearing. Yes, it's in the Amazon style thing. You take a full body picture and you say, hey, give me feedback, and they will give you feedback. And then people will try to sell you stuff saying, hey, not these shoes, you should wear these other shoes. It's not instant, but if you do give a good rating, right? Like if you tell her, oh, it looks good, Morgan, and then later on you come back after dinner like, oh, that's a great outfit, then you should earn some credibility.
Yeah.
Or how about at my house, I get all dolled up and I'm like, anything? Gonna say anything? Are we gonna say anything?
Now he doesn't even know that he's not
Anything.
participating.
This is
my
not
God.
what I signed up for.
I'm like, do
Exactly,
I
sorry.
look nice?
Yes, this is a 50-mile march wedding counseling session. But this is real life, though. This is real life.
Exactly.
I run into this too.
We've
like
been
we all
married
do.
for 20 years, so like,
Oh my gosh! Congrats!
know.
That's awesome. What were you guys like? 19?
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Yeah,
we dated in high school and
that's cool. Where did you
Junior
guys?
year.
Where did you guys meet? What high school did you meet at?
We were in Bellevue.
Bellevue.
Yep.
Yeah.
West or east?
Both.
Okay.
We were split.
Okay. So who's the chieftain?
That's me.
Okay.
Boom.
All right. So I lived at behind Bellevue West.
okay.
Yeah, behind the Thunderbirds for a while when I was in the military. So crazy.
Yeah.
How old are you guys?
42.
I probably DJ'd some of your dances.
This is a
You know
really
what I
good
mean?
chance.
You had to have.
Oh my
this
gosh.
is
We know. So do you know
Crazy.
Jason and his brothers? Jason cuts hair. J.P. Fox came from Bellevue. He was another radio personality.
Okay.
God, what is the last name? You know the Spurgeons probably.
Doesn't ring a
Oh
bell.
gosh.
Yeah.
Spicoli?
No, I know Spicoli too. Did he go to Bellevue?
I don't know.
No, I
but
think he
was
went to
a
Plattsmouth.
longtime DJ, and now he's at 98.
Yeah, he
Yeah, he's
was.
doing the
Yeah,
morning
he was
show.
at the river for a while now. Yeah, all those guys. I mean,
We do some old school like nostalgic episodes. We've never done one on old radio.
On the river.
God.
The-
Old
that would be fun,
the
man.
river's pretty
Like,
wild, man. I
yes,
like
it
that.
is.
the stuff we used to listen to, and I feel like, without getting too much into this, I feel like it's coming back around. Like I haven't listened to terrestrial radio other than like talk radio for years.
That's awesome.
And literally like just in the last 6 months, I'm back to like the local radio stations.
Yes. There's something about it. And there's something about the certain channels, right? Like, I'm not going to show my age, but let's just talk about, CD 105.9, 106, whatever, all the
Decade.
Yes, all that stuff. I was born in that world, or I used to live into that world, and I used to listen to Wolfman Jack as a kid. Another thing that I used to get myself through is manifestation. I don't know if this is the right place to talk about this. I manifest things before they happen. I want to be in the right mindset, ready to receive, ready to give, ready to just, because, there's some people like, oh, I'll never find love again. Well, guess what? You won't.
Yeah, by
if you keep saying
that.
Exactly. All men are stupid. You're right. We are. All men are great. You're right. We are.
Yes.
Whatever you think. So for me, manifesting the 50-mile march, thinking things, I have to see it visually in my head first. And I have to just, then I impose it on people, right? And I cast the vision. I'm like, okay, who's it going to catch? Obviously, it caught you guys, right?
Yes.
And it caught Michael Severe, who's got a knee replacement and 2 torn calves since then, and Kim Kavulak, who Kim didn't even know the entire story. So I came to them year 2. I was like, hey, we want to hold this 50-mile march landing here. She's like, okay. I said, no, I'm not done. She goes, is it for veterans? I said, yeah. She goes, we're in.
That sounds like her.
And Paul, too.
Yeah.
Her husband, Paul, like, give me a break. My favorite beer there has the Bulldog. The Marines Bulldog is the tap.
That's awesome, man.
I always want to get the Cardinal.
Yes.
I'm scanning back and forth like, where's the Cardinal? Where's it at? They're like, oh, no, that's the special tap. That's the Marines.
Yes. And I love Paul and Kim. He's driving my Humvee around right now. Just
for fun.
Just for fun. He's had it since probably the March. But, like I said, there's a few people in life that you trust, and he really loves this Humvee, and it just brings him back to his service.
He needs to get that up to Lynch. We pretty much maxed out his pickup truck going over those hills that we were on side by side.
Yeah.
Yes,
they're having a blast. So
yeah, the Humvee is just, to me, is symbolic of just true patriotism, right? And it brings me back. Saudi Arabia, we were in those things, and it was, I don't know, I feel good when I feel safe, I should say that.
In the
Humvee. I feel, because I'm a prepper too, so we can get into that.
This is going to go a little longer than I originally planned, which is totally cool as long as you're good with it.
I'm good.
We can't skip over the manifestation thing.
Yes.
I was thinking that too. I just saw your paper.
The book, the movie, The Secret.
Yes.
You've been down that road.
Yes. I have a manifesting journal too. I'll send you guys a copy.
You really do make your reality.
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
It's super interesting. I mean, I think I was first exposed to it by my mother years. God, it's probably been 10 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about it all the time, but I've never figured out a really good way to put it to work for myself.
Okay.
I continue to find myself slipping back into those other thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you go about that?
Trance meditation, and it sounds fancy. You're like, oh, come on, Jay, what are we going to do? Buckle our legs and do a hum? Mm-hmm. No. We are so distracted by this. Mm-hmm. We're so distracted by what our last thought was, what we're going to eat. We plan more on what to eat tonight than we do our future. Do you understand? Like, where do you want to go? I don't know. Where do you want to go? Let's have a steak. No, let's just stay home. Like, we talk about more about that than we talk about future plans, right? Retirement, all those things. So what I like to do is, it's usually after a hard crisis or something that I've been through, like I've pressure cooked myself and I'm just tired, right? I'm just like spent. So the brain is working slower. You're truly like, so after the march, it was it for me, right? I go dark usually because the dopamine rush is like this, then you crash. Well, your body doesn't move as fast after that. So when I'm sitting inside of my sauna, there is nobody bothering me. There is no phone. There is no noise. There's not even, background noise. So I ask myself, where is it that you want to go next? Like, where is it that you want to go next? And you think and you can pray to God and you can just talk, but you have to listen. And so you're like, okay, where's the 50-mile march going? So I just think, okay, we landed. It was, Nebraska Brewing Company. What was that like? What were the attendees? Remember, I talk about user experience, right? Or end user experience. And I'm like, okay, we want to go bigger. We want to do these things. And all the noise, I'm like, no. And I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to tell my board we need to keep it at Nebraska Brewing Company. And here's why. Those people, Paul and Kim, work so damn hard.
Oh, yeah.
No matter where you move it, you're going to have to tell the story all over again. So here's what I see. Here's, like, I'm imagining an Apache helicopter or Able 1 or something to fly over the end. Just remember I said that. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing we're missing. We've got all the police vehicles, the fire. I just need one helicopter to fly over. Next mission. Sounds crazy. Hide and watch. I just want it to fly over. I want people to feel the goosebumps. I want people to go, oh my God, is that Able 1 or is that an Apache? I don't know how it's going to happen, but wouldn't that be cool? Well, it's not outlandish.
Right.
And I've got connections. When do I start working on it? Let's work on it now. I will be relentless in that happening. If I want it to happen, I want it to happen. Okay, do I want to go from X figure to X figure? Okay, where do I want to go with income or whatever, gross income next year? What? But the gross income's not the important part. It's what I want to do with it. So I picture that manifestation like, oh, I'm doing this with it. I'm being a good steward with it. I'm not flexing with it. I'm sharing with it. I'm donating it. Like, those are the things I think about, right? And as you can see now, I'm probably bringing myself into that place of just, but I'm just so grateful. Like, even right now, just sitting in this room, like, gratitude. I feel, like you guys are truly curious about who Jay is, and I want to let that through. My insecurity level has probably dropped since I've been here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But just manifesting is not just one and done. Like, my book will walk you through it, and it's a journal. You have to start writing so that you can stop the noise. When you write, the noise stops. Yeah. When you write, I want to be, X amount, and I want 4 new accounts at X amount, and this is the, ConAgra will call me, and what is it like? And then part of it says, what will your friends say when ConAgra? Oh, I knew you'd always get that account because you're just a good guy, and, blah, blah, blah. And hey, you and Morgan are really hardworking people. You got to manifest what it's going to be like after, not the objections.
Yeah.
So, hey, I got the account. What's your mom saying? Oh, your mom said, I told you, you guys are doing real good. And mom talks to all her friends at Bridge Club about us. And you got to put that feeling, because you can't think negative when you're in that feeling. Then you say, who am I going to thank for this? Who am I going to thank? And that helps you find the partners to help you get there. Like, okay, who am I going to thank? Well, Jay said he has some connection somewhere, but so I'm just going to show gratitude. You put all the things that you're going to do when you hit it, and all the good feelings that come with it, and your body just pulls that way. Your mind pulls that way. And you start spewing that out to people, and they're like, this is what Ben's doing? Okay, I'm on board. Yeah. But it's when Ben says, I want to do this, but I'm not sure. When you point uncertainty into the atmosphere, everyone is allowed to go, yeah, I'm unsure too. They need that lead, Ben. They need you to see. And guess what? Fail at your manifestation. Just fail at it, right? Most of us don't fail at our manifestation because we never start.
Right.
There's a couple of things there. And a big thing that I'm noticing, and maybe I'm getting this all wrong, the goal is kind of secondary. You're focusing on the journey. You're also skipping ahead and focusing on kind of the fun stuff, like, I can't believe we made that happen. It came together. Oh, isn't it? It's always nice when a plan comes together. I love saying that. I think I love saying that more than anything.
That's the A-team.
Yeah, I love when a plan comes together. Yeah. So you hear that all the time, but it's hard to put meat on that bone. Oh, the money's not important. Bullshit. Money's important.
Yes.
Like, I can't make a living if it's not.
Buys you time.
And people are like, well, yeah. And then, the yuppies will call them, say like, oh, no, if you truly love it, you're no, but you still got to make ends meet, So I think we get hung up on the goal, and we'll say the money, and we don't put enough thought into the journey or enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And then also we're kind of empty. Like, we don't enjoy the journey. We hit this goal. The dopamine's fleeting. It's like that.
Right.
Then it's over.
And
Now
guess who you listen to the most, Andy? Yourself. Yeah. And if you're doubting yourself, you'll never get to where you're going to get. So I want to show you this. This is me 74 pounds heavier than I was.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
I didn't know you lost weight like that, Jay.
That's nothing. There's
you
other
look like
pictures.
a different dude.
Oh my gosh. And where it started was here. Okay.
Oh, in the hospital.
In the hospital. When you hit rock bottom, when you have respiratory arrest, when you stop breathing for a few minutes and now you're okay. So out of fear, right? You know, my wife is like, like you're not going to be here for the kids. Like you got to stop. You know, like I get that you work hard and you come home and you beat your body up with alcohol and this and that, and so how did I do this? Okay, keto, yes, but before, I started shots, HCG, all these things, right? But to manifest, like, what will my kids say? So my child was with me at the Keto Summit, which we threw the Keto Summit. This was 3 years ago. And they said, what made you go keto, Mason? So he's not really keto. He's just low carb and a carnivore. But he said, because I noticed when my dad's face didn't go like this anymore, when he couldn't shake his face anymore, I knew that he was healthier.
Oh, wow.
So those are powerful moments. Like when my kid says hero, like I can picture the 50-mile march when we're purchasing it Q1, like I'm putting this out there now, right? It's 3 to 10 acres of land and you guys are there with shovels, right? I'm almost like, oh, excuse me, Morgan, I didn't mean to bump in you with a shovel, right? Like it's that deep.
Yes.
And it's like, I picture 250 plus people bringing their own damn shovel. Like we ain't doing 6 people,
chills.
right? We ain't doing 6 people. Everyone's going to bring it. Everyone's going to take a little piece of that land home with them, right? In a little plastic bag. I'm manifesting this, right? And once that happens, corporations are going to call up and say, like, look at my hair standing on end. Right? They're going to say, Jay, they're going to say 50-mile march. Hey, we would like to sponsor one house. I'm just letting you know that's $100,000 for a 5-year naming right. Yeah, we're in. Like, here's how we deliver it. Here's how it happens. Here's what we're going to build first. Here's how the bricks feel, right? Like the bricks on the floor. There's no veterans' names on the floor. It's only families who are sponsoring, and then on the walls will be the veterans. Like that's manifestation. That's you already believe it's going to happen, right? This is going to happen, whether it's first quarter or second quarter, but we're acting as if now, right? Like I'm picturing some farmer calling us up saying, you know what? We're done. We're done farming. And my son was in the military and, he's done real good and we love the military. Here you go. I don't care if he sells it to us, gives it to us, whatever. We want to honor whoever shows up to the table, but that's what manifestation has been. And sometimes it takes coaching. Sometimes it's like, what do you want, Ben? How do we want our body? Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Well, really, are we? What's something you want, Ben? How about that? What's something you want? Like something you've thought like, okay, let me manifest this. What's something you want? It could be simple. I don't care what it ain't got to be deep.
I try not to think a lot about what I want, and that's probably part of the problem.
Yeah. That's fair because you're operating day to day,
right? Doing
well.
Yeah,
things are like awesome, hitting on all cylinders. Why interrupt the machine? Where you are now, there's a better version of yourself that doesn't. It's not even money. Yeah. You're doing this well. You can 10x yourself, and it's not about Grant Cardone. It's like you can 10x yourself because there are people that are waiting in line at your front doorstep to wish for your life. There's a man in the hospital right now breathing his last few breaths that would change his worst day or change your worst day for his best day right now.
Right.
So that's where we have to think of capacity. Where are we at? You've got more people to bless, guys, with your business. Like, I get it, and I learned a little bit today, but I'm intrigued. I want to know where the first T-shirt came from. I want to know where the idea came from. I want to know how many times you messed up the proof. Like, I want to know all this stuff, right? I want to hear all the arguments and hey, we had to do this. Like, people only see this. Yeah. Right? And so when people see the 50-mile march, that's good, right? Yeah. I want them to see this. It's not even here yet. It's not even here yet. But I'm not going to fool them and say, hey, donate and do nothing with the money. We're open stewards. Like, we are very good stewards with the money. They know where we're going. They know we're committed. And we've got committed people. That's another thing. When you manifest, tell people you're manifesting, the right people. Some people think you're hocus pocus magic, but everything I ever got is because I wanted it that bad, and I saw it, and people are telling me, right? And I'm playing this forward in my mind. So when shit gets really hard, I'm like, nah, I want my son telling me this. I want my wife to be able to say, oh my gosh, you're so sexy. Whatever. Right? Yes. But
that came from what you just said right there. It just came like light bulb for me.
Yeah.
Realization of I've thought about manifestation as it's me. I'm thinking about this. I need to know where I'm going. I need to know what I want. I need to know what I want to achieve, and that's going to come, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And that is part of it.
Yes.
But when you said you need to share with people that you're manifesting,
yes.
What I just realized was what you're talking about that you're manifesting and you're sharing with us.
Yes.
Now it's in my mind.
Yes.
And I'm manifesting
Yes.
what
Yes.
you want to manifest.
You're projecting.
Yes.
You're projecting.
So there's
it
more
into the
people
universe.
thinking about
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
what
Right.
you're
And if I told Ben,
Yeah.
and it doesn't come true, I'm just much more of a fraud. You know what I mean?
But
Like-
the power of that energy and that
Yes.
thought, it's now not just coming from
Oh
you.
yeah, I'm
Correct.
thinking about
Now
it too.
we're thinking about the same
yes.
thing.
So there's
Yes.
more people thinking.
We're all putting it towards
Yes.
the same.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, you're vibrating on a frequency.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're giving out energy.
Yeah.
If you and I didn't get along, I'd probably detect that right away, right?
Yeah.
Like we're all guarded. We're like, okay, I know Morgan more than I know Ben. I don't know Andy yet. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you let your guard down and you let that go, the ideals, and we're on the same wavelength, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful. I mean, it's crazy, but I love to work with couples. So here's the other part, right? So I love coaching with, business owners and individuals. But when I coach couples, like in business, personal, and spiritual, it's powerful, man, because even my wife, I consider us, like high performers, like we love to work. We're not afraid. She's a farm gal, right? Like we have to be in sync though. And normally couples aren't, because one person's like vibing real high and the other one's trying to recover. If both are say, hey, listen, babe, 4 times a year, we're going to manifest, we're going to goal plan, we're going to meet with others who goal plan, we're going to profess to them, your life will compound and get better exponentially. Just because you want to perform better. Right now, you're just accountable to yourselves and your
Yeah.
customers.
If you don't put it out there, don't put it out in the
Exactly.
world.
That also helps me realize, this whole military and mission focused thing. When we talk about the 50-mile march, that made me think like, okay, this past year, 150 people out there walking on the same mission, working towards the same thing, all on the exact same wavelength.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All thinking about the exact same goal, the end game, all the things that come along with that. It's like this big, like, powerful energy all in that one group, just boom, all going towards
Yes.
one thing.
Yes, and I agree with you because
Yeah.
Ben, if nobody knows what we're doing, that's why most businesses fail, right? They're like, well, what are you doing? Like, where are we headed? Culture and companies today, the almighty dollar, but there's organizations that I've coached, and it's a long transformation because you've got to get buy-in, then you've got to get rid of some of your people, you've got to turn over, right? Some of the best teams that I've worked with have teams of 10 to 15. That's easy to culturize, but an entire company. But if everyone is working for the purpose, shoot, man, we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
It's going to get difficult, but because we have purpose, we're going to help one another. We speak the same language. I've already told you exactly what we're thinking. What
And
we're
that
manifesting.
yes, and that goes to talking about what you want to do, what you're projecting, not
Yes.
just keeping it your thoughts, yours.
Right. But it's got to be good for all, right? It's not like Jay's going to get a Lamborghini and that's what he's going to do.
Right,
Like some
like
people are like,
selfish.
I don't care for the Lamborghini, right? Like, no, I mean, I want people to see me as, okay, he's a regular person. He has insecurities as well. He's got doubts in his mind sometimes. He's got a process in which he works through stuff. He fights the demons every now and then. He's a real person. I don't want anyone to think, oh, he's got his shit together. Because I don't, right? I've got a whole lot of people who care for me that help me keep my shit together. And that's true. I need accountability. I have a coach too that I pay for. And it's because I know me. And if I can't see my 6, which is behind me, I'm going to be no good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a limit to self development.
So, Ben, you had a bright light bulb go off. I had a much dimmer bulb go off in my head. And it took me back to a conversation I had with my brother-in-law, and we're drinking beers, and we're figuring things out, right? And we were talking about Netflix. And I'm like, man, there's this fun series. It was called The Movies That Made Us.
Oh, yeah.
And it went through about 10 or 15 of the, I think I was watching the Halloween edition, so it did Halloween, Freddy Krueger, and every one of those movies had just a tremendous story that followed like the same line where they pitched it, it got picked up, then it got dropped because the executives were like, that's not going to work. But the director believed in it so much every time. He just said, hell with it, I'm making it anyway. He somehow or another, whether it's Kubiak or whoever, figured out a way to make that movie. And then, of course, I feel like since he manifested so much and made so many people believe in it, the movie blew up, you know, and he didn't have, but he made that happen. And I said, man, it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then my brother-in-law, like we're idiots, he goes, well, if you think about it, everything's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And, what you're saying, that's exactly what I feel like that there's so many parallels there where a manifestation and a self-fulfilling prophecy is kind of one and the same.
Yes.
And that was just every single one of those movies, and they're all blockbusters.
Yes.
Almost didn't get off the cutting board because, the director had to figure it out. But he believed in it. He believed in it, and he made it happen regardless. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, so there was my dim light
Perfect,
bulb.
man.
But that's the creative manifestation requires energy too, Ben. It requires a lot of energy, right? I'm not talking about physical energy or mental energy, but it's that transcending energy that I can exchange between you and I, and I might leave more in the room than I came with, right? And you might absorb more than you gave, but that's the exchange of energy. And in my book, the Let's Go, there's a part that talks about energy. Either insulate, isolate, yourself away from people. We're all in the same grid. We all touch the same grid. We're all connected somehow. Frequencies, vibrations, switches, all that stuff. And I believe in it, right? But, again, I'm not a voodoo witch doctor or anything like that. I'm very strong in my faith. But I do believe in the science of, some things that there's some things I really can't explain, and I'm not going to die on the sword and tell you why I believe in frequencies and vibrations, but it's so basic. Why wouldn't I? You know?
So you have a book that people can buy?
Yes, it's on Amazon.
So please tell us about this.
It's called Let's Go. It's a book about stop overthinking and just do things and get the little voice out of your head. How to network with people, how to make connections, how to serve others, how to get over the hardest places that you're stuck. And I wrote it not because I wanted to be smart. I wrote it because I wanted my mom to know I wasn't dumb. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a great perspective.
It is. And in there, I dedicated it to my parents. They wasted probably $12,000 on my private education. And my principal said, your son's not going to amount to be anything. And that's what my principal said to them. And my mom cried. And years later, and I'm like, oh, I'm writing a book, Mom, I'm writing a book. And it finally came true. Not a bestseller, not on anyone's list of anything. But you know what? I use it to... it's my calling card. It's my business card. It's my way to say, here you go. It's not a manual. It's not a bio. It's how to get unstuck. So, when people say, let's go, like you say, let's go a lot. I love it. Let's implies let us, right?
Yep.
You can't say, let's go all by yourself. Like, okay, let's go, Jay. That's weird, right? Like, who's us? Let us go implies like, let's do this together. So, before a wedding, when you speak to your daughter, maybe she's like, I don't know, Dad, like, you know what? This is blah, blah, blah. Let's go. Or jumping out of an airplane. Let's go. Or you hear me on the 50-mile march, right? Like screaming at the top of my lungs, let's go. The term let's go has been used forever, but it gets you unstuck. Sometimes it's just like, hey, Morgan, I know you're just tired. I know, but let's go. Let's go. Let's just go. People overthink. Well, what if Rosa gets mad at me? Who cares? Like Rosa won't even know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah,
I can't see how after this conversation that a ton of folks aren't going to be interested in that, because I know I am.
Thanks.
And I'm not even a reader. Like,
awesome.
I'll sit down and check it out.
Yes.
We're ordering that.
Yes.
Good brutal honesty there.
Obviously, with the common folk bump, We're
Yes.
gonna get some. We're gonna get some Amazon visits. Right?
That's awesome.
Is that the best place to find it? Is on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, and I have it locally, but just order it from Amazon. And you know what? For me, the book is part of the healing journey, and it's part of who I am, and it talks a little bit about manifestation in there. But the manifestation journal on its own is really how to get that process started. Not everyone needs a coach, right? I mean, to get started manifesting, you just have to follow the prompts. But if people want to, I'll do group sessions and things of that nature, and they're all random. It's just something I love to pour into people. Mm-hmm. And I do charge for that stuff because if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. Yeah. You give it to somebody for free, it ain't worth nothing.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We've got probably maybe 10 more minutes. I had one more personal question, and then I want to end with just kind of a wrap-up of the 50-mile march so folks can understand a little bit about that.
Yes.
You talked about the folks who are behind you and who have made you who you are, and you mentioned your parents, and you mentioned your son a couple of times. But you've touched on a little bit about your wife being a farm kid and these kinds of things.
Yeah.
What's her story?
Oh God. She had Aubrey, our oldest, when she was 17 and maybe 18. Real young, right? Just worked hard, worked 3-4 jobs, to just make ends meet. I met her, and what makes her? She's married to a farming family, the Jap family. She's walked beans. She's detasseled corn. She's, fed chickens. She's done it all.
She
right?
a Nebraska gal?
Yeah, she's right from Elkhorn. Never left, right?
Yep.
So never left. And Blair and Kennard and all those small towns out there. And I got baptized into the family. So first time, she's like, "You're going to meet my family." We went up to Kennard. Or it was Kennard. No, sorry, Blair. It was Blair. And here's a big old tractor, right? I was like, what are we doing? It's a tractor ride. It's a tractor ride, right? I was like, oh, dang, this is pretty cool, right? This is going to be great. But little did I know how much I'd learned from, her grandpa who passed, her grandma who's still alive, just her whole family, and, just how hard they work and how, just the things that she's taught me. My wife works. She doesn't sit down. She's a great realtor. She's a great mother. She's resilient. She's smart. I don't know, a firecracker redhead. If you look at her, you're like, oh, damn, how did he get that? Like, I can manifest. I can manifest. Trust me. Yes,
but it worked. There you go.
It did work. But my wife, if I'll be truthful, is probably the best sounding board that I've ever had. She's kept me humble. She'll tell me when I'm flexing. She'll tell me to let things go, right? And as I've gotten older, I'm 54 now, I've learned to really, we've been together for 25. I've learned to really trust her judgment. She's very intuitive, which she picks up on people. At first it was like, see, I told you they were no good. It's not even that. It's, I can see her guard go up, and I just already know, like,
you sense it.
Yeah, and I'm like, babe, what's up? I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling. I'm like, but you don't understand. Yeah, this is the holy grail to so and so. Yeah, okay. She doesn't have to say much. I'm like, all right. I trust her judgment. Do we fight? Yes, passionately. Right. There's no disrespect there though, but it's just regular wife-husband stuff. But I will tell you, my wife, in the hospital on her final surgery to get her boobs bolted back on, right, because she had a double mastectomy, was negotiating a deal under sedation as she's going under. And the doctors are like, okay, you're going to have to put it down now. She's like, oh, okay, just, and
wow.
And I call her my ride or die. And this brings me back to her surgery, man. Every time she went back to the OR, they would know me for this. I'm like, today we ride. Nice. Today we ride.
Yeah.
And it's our thing, man. Like, when life gets hard, I say, today we ride, and she knows what I mean. Like, she's my everything, man. She's the reason I'm alive. She's the reason that our kids are successful. She's the reason the 50-mile march is the way it is, I mean, life is not perfect, man, but that girl makes it that way. And we have our dreams, right? Like, we're going to RV it here in probably 3 years. We're going to have our land. We're going to liquidate all our properties. Like, that's the manifestation that I get to do with her, right? You know, that's the dream. That's the end game. And yeah, thanks for asking that, man.
That's awesome, man.
Damn, you got me. You got me, bro.
One of the things that's super interesting for me is you talk about her background, and a lot of our audience is rural.
Yes.
You know, blue collar.
Yes.
Farming folks, ranching folks.
Yeah.
You know, amongst others as well. But I think it's very interesting for them to hear the kind of influence that lifestyle has had on Jay, because that's not how you came up, obviously.
No, man.
Well, you go to this all the time, Ben, where you say if people just stop bickering on X or on Twitter, you know, they would find out and figure out they got a lot more in common. And you told the story of your hardworking family in San Francisco, you know, living in the basements of the apartments, you know, the apartments that have the letters in front of the numbers.
Yes.
And then you're talking about your wife growing up in small town Kennard and the struggles she had.
Yeah.
There you go. It's
right.
Life's tough everywhere.
Yeah.
And workers get it done.
Yes.
Regardless if it's in Northern California or by the Bay or in small town Nebraska. There's so much we all have in common.
Good point.
And how the stories overlap. And good people are good people anywhere. That's really all there's to it.
I appreciate that, Andy. Yeah. That's so true. I never thought about it that way because, again, I've lived in it. But if you can learn something from the rural folk, right, just the hardworking people, man. I mean, she never complains about 14, 15, 16-hour days. You know, like she could be all contorted on an airplane, cramped up, typing up an offer. Like, she doesn't really care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just get it done.
Just get it done. And that's who I'm attracted to. Oh, that's one last thing, and we'll wrap it up. But do you like so and so? Do you like so and so? Are you friends with? I don't use that language. I'm attracted to people based on who they are. I'm very attracted to hard working, get it done, and people who are, I'm like, hey, did you ever think of this? And then they blow it up. Like, I'm attracted to the real and the raw, the fakeness, the Instagram photos, the how's everything going? I'm not attracted to that.
Yeah.
And so when people say, oh, do you know, I'm really attracted to them. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the most respectful way.
Makes sense.
It's a level of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Man, good stuff. So let's finish with a little bit more info about the 50-mile march. All right, everybody, it's time to take a break. This has gone a little bit longer than what we expected. I'm not quite sure that we knew what we were getting into having Jay out, man. He's got so many good stories, so much good information. It became clear as we got about an hour into this thing that this is going to have to turn into a two-parter. So here's our stop. Thank you so much for listening so far. On the next episode next week, we're going to get a little more into the 50-mile march and the specifics surrounding that. You've got a chance to meet Jay. He's a great dude, contagious personality. This is a great atmosphere in here. Hope you all are looking forward to next week. Hope you're on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening. We got more coming at you.